Welcome to Storywise Nonfiction Article Level 2. Make sure to stay until the end of the video for vocabulary explanations. You can also find the vocabulary list in the video's description. Gibraltar's Rock Apes. Gibraltar, a beautiful and unique place, sits at the southern tip of Spain. It is famous for its majestic rock, known as the Rock of Gibraltar. But there is more to Gibraltar than its rock. Let's begin this journey of exploring Gibraltar, its history, strategic importance, and the famous rock. Gibraltar is a small piece of land, known as a peninsula, sticking out into the sea. To be precise, it covers only 2.5 square miles, or 6.5 square kilometers. Despite its small size, it is home to about 30,000 people. So, imagine a small town filled with people who know each other well. However, Gibraltar isn't just any small town. It's a place with its own government, and even though it is located right next to Spain, it's a British overseas territory. This means that the United Kingdom looks after it. This little place has a very big history. Can you believe that it used to be a part of Spain? However, during a big war, known as the War of Spanish Succession, which took place from 1701 to 1714, Britain captured it. Imagine many European countries fighting in this war, and all of them wanting to stop France and Spain from joining together into one country. In the end, Britain took Gibraltar and has kept it since then. This event was part of a big agreement called the Treaty of Utrecht, named after a Dutch city where the agreement was signed. Gibraltar is not only important because of its rich history. It is also in a very strategic position. What does this mean? Well, it is located in a place that allows Navy ships based there to control the Strait of Gibraltar. This strait is a narrow sea channel that connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Atlantic Ocean. It's like a gate between two big water bodies, and whoever controls Gibraltar controls this gate. That's why Gibraltar's position is very important. Now, let's talk about the Rock of Gibraltar. It's a 1,400 foot, or 426 meter, high mountain. Yes, you heard it right. It's a mountain, right there, on a small piece of land. One side of the mountain is a very steep cliff, looking intimidating and majestic at the same time. It's not just a rock but a symbol of strength and resilience that has seen hundreds of years of history unfold. Gibraltar, this small peninsula with a big rock, has a fascinating history and an important role in today's world. This place may be small in size, but it is big in importance. And this importance isn't just about its strategic position or its history. There's something else that makes Gibraltar special. The Rock of Gibraltar is home to a unique type of monkey known as Barbary macaques, or as locals like to call them, the rock apes. But that's a story for another chapter. When you hear the term rock apes, you may imagine a species of ape that has uniquely adapted to live on rocks. This is partly true when it comes to Gibraltar's rock apes, but there is more to these animals than meets the eye. Let's explore these fascinating creatures, their real identity, and why they are such a significant part of Gibraltar. First, let's clear a common misunderstanding. Gibraltar's rock apes are not actually apes. Even though they are called rock apes, these creatures are monkeys. So why the mix-up? It's because of their size and appearance. Normally, apes are larger and do not have tails, whereas monkeys are smaller and have tails. Gibraltar's rock apes, despite being monkeys, are tailless, which is unusual. This feature led to them being misnamed as apes. Now that we know they are not apes, what exactly are they? These creatures are a type of tailless monkey known as Barbary macaques. The term macaque may be unfamiliar, but it's simply a type of monkey. There are many different types of macaques in the world, but the Barbary macaques are special. They are the only type that does not have a tail, which sets them apart from other monkeys. Barbary macaques are interesting creatures. They are native to North Africa, particularly in regions like Algeria and Morocco. These animals are medium-sized, with males being slightly larger than females. They have a sturdy body and can easily move around both on the ground and in trees. Their fur color varies from yellowish-brown to gray, and they have a dark pink face. Unlike most monkeys, Barbary macaques spend a lot of time on the ground, which makes them well suited for life on the rocky terrain of Gibraltar. Now, you might be wondering why Gibraltar's Barbary macaques are often said to be the only monkeys living in the wild in Europe. This claim is not entirely correct. There are indeed other species of monkeys found in the wild in Europe, like the natural populations of various types of lemurs in France. However, Gibraltar's Barbary macaques are the only wild monkeys in Europe if we strictly consider the mainland, meaning the large mass of land that makes up the continent. The lemurs, for example, live on islands. So, Gibraltar's Barbary macaques have a unique distinction in Europe's wildlife. To sum up, the so-called rock apes of Gibraltar are not actually apes but a unique type of tailless monkey known as Barbary macaques. Misnamed because of their tailless nature, these macaques have become a significant part of Gibraltar's identity. While they are not the only monkeys in the wild in Europe, they are indeed the only ones on the mainland, which is a noteworthy distinction. The story of these fascinating creatures doesn't end here. In a moment, we'll explore more about their life on the rock, their interaction with humans, and the important role they play in the local lore and culture. Keep in mind, the world of animals is full of surprises, and learning about them helps us appreciate the rich biodiversity of our planet. Gibraltar's Barbary macaques are one of these surprises, a unique spectacle of nature on the European mainland. Gibraltar's rock apes, or the Barbary macaques, are not just tourist attractions. They are valuable members of the community. Just like humans, these monkeys also need regular checkups to make sure they are healthy. In Gibraltar, vets play a very important role in caring for the rock apes. Every day, they go on patrols to check on the monkeys. They monitor the behavior of the monkeys to make sure they are acting normally and are not sick. They look at the physical condition of the monkeys to see if they are eating well and if they do not have any wounds or signs of illness. In short, they play the role of a doctor for the rock apes, making sure they are healthy and well. Recently, a new health concern has emerged for the rock apes: the coronavirus. As you might know, the coronavirus is a dangerous illness that affects humans. But did you know that some animals can also catch the virus? This is why the vets in Gibraltar are worried. Just like humans, the rock apes could also potentially catch the coronavirus. This is a serious concern because it could make the monkeys very sick and could also affect people who come into close contact with them. To tackle this issue, the vets have set up a health monitoring system for the apes. What does this mean? A monitoring system is a plan to regularly check on something. In this case, the something is the health of the rock apes. As part of this system, the vets regularly capture the monkeys to check their health in detail. They look for signs of illness, and they also take samples to test for diseases. Each monkey is given a special tattoo and a microchip. The tattoo helps to quickly identify the monkey, while the microchip provides important information about the monkey's health history. This health monitoring system is very important. It not only helps to keep the rock apes healthy but also provides important information for the vets. By studying the health information of the monkeys, the vets can learn about diseases that could potentially affect the rock apes. This can help them take measures to prevent these diseases from spreading and to quickly treat any monkey that gets sick. It is interesting to note that the health of the rock apes is tied to the health of the people in Gibraltar. For example, if the coronavirus spreads among the monkeys, it could also affect people who come in contact with them. This shows how important it is to care for the health of animals, not just for their sake, but also for the sake of humans. In conclusion, the rock apes of Gibraltar are not just an interesting species of monkeys, but they are also a part of the community that needs care and attention. Thanks to the hard work of the vets and the health monitoring system, these monkeys can live a healthy life on the rock. This is a great example of how humans and animals can live together in harmony, caring for each other's health and well-being. Gibraltar is a small yet significant place. Even though it is just a little spot on the map, its importance is huge. First, let's talk about how many people live in Gibraltar. Despite its small size of only 2.5 square miles or 6.5 square kilometers, Gibraltar is home to about 30,000 people. That's quite a lot of people living in a small area. Can you imagine how crowded it must be? But don't worry, the people of Gibraltar are used to it, and have adapted well to living in such a compact space. The streets are full of life with shops, restaurants, and cafes. People live in apartments that are built high to accommodate everyone. Even though it might seem crowded, the people of Gibraltar enjoy a good quality of life. The government takes care of its people well. There are good schools, hospitals, and lots of recreational areas for people to enjoy their free time. The community is tight-knit, which means that people know each other well and help each other out. There's a real sense of community in Gibraltar, which is quite special. Now let's talk about why Gibraltar is so important. Gibraltar is located at a very strategic position. But what does strategic mean? When we say a place is strategic, it means it is important for military or economic reasons. Gibraltar is located at the entrance to the Mediterranean Sea from the Atlantic Ocean. This entrance is called the Strait of Gibraltar. It is a narrow channel of water that ships must pass through to get from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea. Because Gibraltar controls the strait, it plays a very important role. Navy ships based in Gibraltar can control the strait, which means they can control which ships can pass through. This is very important for trade because many goods are transported by ships through this strait. If a country controls the strait, it can control the trade. This strategic position has made Gibraltar a point of interest for many countries. For a long time, Spain controlled Gibraltar. But during the War of Spanish Succession in the early 18th century, Britain captured Gibraltar. According to the Treaty of Utrecht that ended the war, Gibraltar was to belong to Britain forever. However, in recent years, Spain has been saying that Gibraltar should be returned to them. This shows how valuable Gibraltar is due to its strategic location. Gibraltar has a rich and complex history that makes it more than just a small piece of land. We will now learn about the important historical events that have shaped Gibraltar, from the British capturing Gibraltar in the War of Spanish Succession, to the Treaty of Utrecht, and finally, the recent stance of the Spanish government on the ownership of Gibraltar. In the early 18th century, Europe was going through a big conflict known as the War of Spanish Succession. This war was not just about Spain but involved many European countries. They were fighting over who would control Spain and its empire after the death of its king. The war started in 1701 and lasted until 1714, and it was during this conflict that Gibraltar, which was then a part of Spain, was captured by Britain in 1704. Why was Gibraltar so important to Britain? Well, as we learned in the previously, Gibraltar has a strategic position. By controlling Gibraltar, Britain could control the Strait of Gibraltar, and this was very important for the trade and the military power of Britain. So, the capture of Gibraltar was a significant victory for Britain. When the War of Spanish Succession ended in 1714, an agreement was made. This agreement is called the Treaty of Utrecht. A treaty is like a big promise or agreement between countries. The Treaty of Utrecht included many different things, but one of them was about Gibraltar. The treaty said that Gibraltar was to belong to Britain, forever. This was a strong word, wasn't it? It meant that Britain had the right to control Gibraltar for all time to come. However, in recent years, the Spanish government has started saying that Gibraltar should be given back to Spain. They argue that the Treaty of Utrecht was signed a long time ago, and that things have changed since then. They say that Gibraltar is very close to Spain and has a lot in common with Spain, so it should be a part of Spain. This has led to discussions between Britain and Spain about the future of Gibraltar. The people living in Gibraltar have also expressed their opinions. In several votes, most of them have shown that they want Gibraltar to stay British. They like being part of Britain and enjoy the benefits that come with it, such as the protection of the British Navy. So, as we can see, the history of Gibraltar is full of important events and changes. From the British capture of Gibraltar in the War of Spanish Succession to the Treaty of Utrecht and the recent discussions about its future, Gibraltar has been at the center of European history. The Barbary macaques, or the rock apes, as they are commonly known, are a central part of Gibraltar's identity. These charming creatures are often the first thing that comes to mind when people think about Gibraltar. But have you ever wondered how these animals, which are native to North Africa, ended up on the Rock of Gibraltar? Let's dive into the fascinating history of the Barbary macaques in Gibraltar. The most popular theory is that the Barbary macaques were brought to Gibraltar from North Africa over 600 years ago. North Africa, where countries like Morocco and Algeria are located, is home to the Barbary macaques. The journey from North Africa to Gibraltar is not very long, as the Strait of Gibraltar is a narrow passage that separates the two continents. It is believed that people may have carried the macaques across the strait by boat. When the macaques first arrived in Gibraltar, they were not wild creatures. Instead, they were kept as pets. Pets are animals that people keep for companionship. People love to have pets for many reasons, and it seems that the inhabitants of Gibraltar were fond of these macaques. Having a Barbary macaque as a pet would have been quite special, as these animals are different from the typical pets we have today, like cats and dogs. However, the story of the Barbary macaques did not stop there. At some point, these pet macaques began to transition into a wild population. Some may have escaped from their owners, and others may have been released intentionally. Escaping means they found a way out of their homes without the owner's knowledge, while being released means the owners purposely let them go. Once out in the open, these macaques began to live and reproduce in the wild. Over time, the descendants of the original macaques have been living on the rock ever since. Descendants are the children, grandchildren, and so on of the original animals. The Rock of Gibraltar, with its cliffs and green areas, provided a suitable habitat for these animals. A habitat is a place where a certain animal or plant normally lives and grows. It has everything they need: food, water, shelter, and space. Today, there are about 220 Barbary macaques in Gibraltar. This number fluctuates, or changes up and down, over the years. But thanks to conservation efforts, which means actions taken to protect and preserve these animals, the population of the Barbary macaques remains stable. It is a testament to the adaptability of these animals and their ability to survive and thrive even in new and different surroundings. The Barbary macaques are now an integral part of Gibraltar, contributing to its unique charm and attraction. Gibraltar is a place filled with history and charm. But it's not just the rock or the strategic location that makes this place special. It's also the unique stories and legends that surround it. One of the most famous is the legend of the rock apes, the Barbary macaques. So, what is this legend all about? It's a very interesting story. According to the local belief, as long as Barbary macaques live in Gibraltar, the territory will remain under British control. This means that the presence of these monkeys on the Rock of Gibraltar is linked with the British rule over the territory. People believe that if the monkeys ever leave or disappear, Gibraltar will no longer be a British territory. This legend is so popular and taken so seriously that even during times of war, actions were taken to make sure the Barbary macaques remained in Gibraltar. A great example of this happened during the Second World War. The Second World War was a big and scary conflict that happened from 1939 to 1945. Many countries around the world were involved in this war. During that time, in the year 1942, there was a concern about the number of Barbary macaques in Gibraltar. The number had dropped to less than 10. People worried that the legend might come true and Gibraltar might lose its British rule. To stop this from happening, the British Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, took action. Churchill was an important leader during the Second World War. When he heard about the situation in Gibraltar, he gave an order. He said that extra Barbary macaques should be brought to Gibraltar from Algeria and Morocco, 2 countries in North Africa where these monkeys are from. This action by Churchill shows just how seriously people took the legend. It also shows how important the Barbary macaques are to the people of Gibraltar and the British leadership. The legend of the rock apes is a part of Gibraltar's identity, and it adds to the unique history and culture of the place. Today, the legend continues to shape how locals and visitors see and interact with the Barbary macaques. People respect and care for these animals because they are seen as symbols of Gibraltar's heritage and British identity. The legend has given the Barbary macaques a special status, and they are protected and looked after. For instance, it is now forbidden to feed them, and their health is regularly checked to ensure they are in good condition. The legend of the rock apes is just one of many stories that make Gibraltar a fascinating place. But remember, these beautiful creatures are not just part of a legend. They are living beings that deserve our respect and protection. As we enjoy their presence and the stories about them, let's also make sure we do our part to ensure they can continue to live peacefully in their unique home on the Rock of Gibraltar. The Barbary macaques, or rock apes as they are popularly known, are one of Gibraltar's most loved and protected animals. Many people, from British soldiers to local conservation groups, play a crucial part in caring for and protecting these animals. Firstly, Let's talk about the role of the British soldiers. In the past, it was these soldiers who used to feed the rock apes. They were based in Gibraltar and looked after these animals. However, with time, this responsibility has shifted. Nowadays, it's not the soldiers but a local conservation group that takes care of the Barbary macaques. They make sure that the monkeys are healthy and safe. The conservation group does a lot to protect the macaques. They use different methods to keep an eye on the health of the apes. One of these methods involves catching the apes every so often to check their health. This helps them make sure that all the apes are in good condition. They can treat any sick apes and help them get better. This regular checking is very important to keep the apes safe and healthy. Another method used by the conservation group is quite modern and clever. They give each ape a small tattoo and a microchip. You might think this is strange. Why would a monkey need a tattoo or a microchip? Well, these things help the conservation group identify each ape. Just like your name helps people know who you are, the tattoo and microchip help the conservation group know which ape is which. This way, they can keep a better record of each ape's health and history. As for their current population, there are about 220 Barbary macaques living in Gibraltar. This number is a result of careful management and protection efforts. It shows that the hard work of the local conservation group and the regulations put in place are successful. The population of the apes has increased from less than 10 during the Second World War to over 200 now. However, even though the number of macaques is healthy now, the work to protect them is not over. People are reminded not to feed the apes because it can cause health problems for them and make them less afraid of humans. This could lead to them causing trouble, like tipping over garbage cans or stealing food. Gibraltar's rock apes, or Barbary macaques, are one of the biggest reasons that people visit this beautiful place. These monkeys are very unique and attract a lot of tourists each year. Let's talk about why the rock apes attract so many visitors. The simple answer is that they are very special. They are the only monkeys living in the wild in Europe. So, seeing them in their natural home is a rare experience that you can only get in Gibraltar. They also have a playful and curious nature, which makes them fun to watch. Many visitors find it exciting to see the macaques jump, play, and interact with each other in the wild. However, there is an important warning for visitors. While these apes are interesting to watch, they can also be dangerous. Yes, you heard that right. The monkeys might look cute and friendly, but they can bite. Each year, some tourists need medical treatment because they have been bitten by the monkeys. This is why it's very important to be careful when you are near them. Remember not to get too close or try to touch them. And definitely don't try to feed them. Besides biting, the apes can also cause other problems. They are very smart and quick, and they are known to steal food from people. They can even enter people's houses and apartments if they find a way in. And they don't stop at stealing food. They can also knock over garbage cans and make a big mess. For the people who live in Gibraltar, these monkeys can sometimes be more of a nuisance than a delight. So, while the rock apes are a big tourist attraction in Gibraltar, they also need to be respected and handled with care. They are not pets, but wild animals. It's important to remember this when you visit them. Watch and enjoy them from a safe distance. Don't feed them or try to touch them. And keep your belongings safe, or you might find that a monkey has run off with your lunch. The coronavirus has affected many places around the world. It has also had an impact on Gibraltar. Let's look at some numbers. In Gibraltar, about 1,500 people have had the coronavirus. 6 people have died from it. These numbers are significant for a place that is home to only 30,000 people. The virus has caused a lot of worry and has changed many things in Gibraltar. The concern about the virus has also extended to the rock apes. You may be wondering why. Well, macaques can get many of the same illnesses as humans. This includes the coronavirus. Because of this, vets, or animal doctors, in Gibraltar have been closely watching the apes. They have even started to test the apes for the virus. This is not a common thing to do, but it is very important right now. The vets want to make sure that the apes are healthy and not getting sick from the virus. So far, they have tested 4 macaques that have died. Thankfully, none of these monkeys had the virus. What does this tell us? It shows that the apes have been able to stay healthy during the pandemic. This is very good news. However, it is still important to be careful. The virus could still potentially spread to the apes. That's why the vets continue to check on the monkeys every day. They want to make sure that the apes stay healthy. We have journeyed together through the rich history and fascinating stories of the Rock of Gibraltar and its famous residents, the rock apes. From their misunderstood name to their origins and their current state, these tailless monkeys have played an important part in Gibraltar's story. The rock apes, more accurately called Barbary macaques, are not just an important part of Gibraltar's ecosystem, but also a key feature of its culture. We have seen how these animals are deeply rooted in the history of Gibraltar, from the local legend that the British will hold Gibraltar as long as the apes are present, to their significant role as a tourist attraction today. In our journey, we also discovered that the apes are the focus of a sophisticated health monitoring system. This system was especially useful during the recent pandemic. By tracking and caring for the apes, the people of Gibraltar show their respect for these animals. They also show how seriously they take their responsibility to protect them. History, tradition, and health intersect in the management of the apes. The Barbary macaques are a reminder of Gibraltar's past, a symbol of its present, and a beacon for its future. Their presence is a living tradition that ties the people of Gibraltar to their history. The careful health management of the apes shows a commitment to ensuring their future. As we look towards the future, the rock apes will no doubt continue to be an essential part of Gibraltar. They will continue to draw tourists, inspire locals, and contribute to Gibraltar's unique character. Through their daily interactions with people, the apes serve as a reminder of the interconnectedness of all living beings. In closing, the rock apes are not just inhabitants of Gibraltar but are symbols of it. They are threads in the rich tapestry of history, culture, and nature that make up the unique story of Gibraltar. The apes are a testament to Gibraltar's resilience and adaptability, mirroring the strength and perseverance of the people themselves. As we move forward, the Barbary macaques will continue to thrive alongside the people, sharing in the trials and triumphs of this unique place called Gibraltar. Peninsula. A piece of land that is surrounded by water on 3 sides but connected to mainland. Overseas territory. A part of a country that is located outside its main geographical body, often separated by an ocean. War of Spanish Succession. A major European conflict in the early 18th century over who should inherit the Spanish throne. Treaty of Utrecht. An agreement that ended the War of Spanish Succession. Strait. A narrow passage of water connecting 2 seas or 2 large areas of water. Majestic. having grandeur, stateliness, or beauty, inspiring admiration. Resilience, the ability to recover quickly from difficulties. Toughness. Barbary macaques, a type of monkey that is native to North Africa and known for not having a tail. Misnamed, named incorrectly. Terrain, an area of land, with regard to its physical features. Mainland, the primary land mass of a country or continent, as opposed to the islands. Vets, short for veterinarians. Animal doctors. Patrols, groups that go around a region to maintain order and security. Microchip, a small electronic device that can be implanted in animals for identification and medical history. Community, a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. Accommodate, to provide enough space for. Recreational areas, areas that are used for leisure or enjoyment. Tight-knit, closely bound or knit together, close. Strategic, relating to the identification of long-term or overall aims and interests, and the means of achieving them. Conflict, a serious disagreement or argument. Empire, an extensive group of states or countries ruled over by a single monarch or ruling power. Capture, taken to one's possession or control by force. Treaty, a formally concluded and ratified agreement between countries. Descendants, a person, plant, or animal that is descended from a particular ancestor. Habitat, the natural home or environment of an animal, plant, or other organism. Fluctuates, rise and fall irregularly in number or amount. Conservation efforts, actions taken to protect and preserve the environment or specific species of animals or plants. Integral, necessary to make a whole complete, essential or fundamental. Legend, a traditional story sometimes popularly regarded as historical but unauthenticated. Territory, an area of land under the jurisdiction of a ruler or state. Conservation, the protection or preservation of something, usually in terms of nature or wildlife. Heritage, something inherited from past generations, like traditions, culture, or property. Testament, evidence or proof of something. Identity, the characteristics and qualities that make something or someone unique. Crucial, extremely important or necessary. Regulations, rules or directives made and maintained by an authority. Conservation group, a group of people working to protect and preserve the natural environment or specific species. Management, the process of dealing or controlling things or people. Playful, full of fun and high spirits. Curious, eager to know or learn something. Treatment, medical care given to a patient for an illness or injury. Quick, able to move fast or do something in a short time. Knock over, to hit or push something so that it falls. Nuisance, something or someone that annoys or bothers you. Delight.ta, strong feeling of happiness. Tourist attraction, a place of interest where tourists visit, typically for its inherent or an exhibited natural or cultural value. Belongings, things that you own or have with you. Impact, the effect or influence of one thing on another. Significant, large enough to be noticed or have an effect. Extended. To reach, stretch, or continue. Pandemic. A disease that is prevalent over a whole country or the world. Potentially. Possible, but not yet actual. Residents. People who live in a certain place. Ecosystem. A biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment. Sophisticated. Advanced, developed, or complex. Intersect. To meet or cross at a point. Beacon. A source of guidance or inspiration. Interconnectedness. The state of being connected with each other. Perseverance. Steadfastness in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. Triumphs. Great victories or successes.